Okay. Welcome. I'm Helen with So Kind of Wonderful, and I'm going to show you the Posh Penelope block today. This is the pattern. You can purchase it on our website, sokindofwonderful.com. You can buy it as a paper or a PDF download that you print at home. It uses the quick curve ruler, which is our original product. It's been out for over 10 years. And we will use our Sew Square 6 ruler to square up our block. So I already have made I've made 3 of them. So I made 3 of them. We're going to work on this, but all 4 of these sections are made exactly the same. So let's go ahead and make our last petal section. So we start with our focus fabric, and this is our A piece in the pattern. And the first thing it wants us to do, the pattern instructs, is to cut this in half. It's longer here and shorter here. And the pattern's very clear. So I'm going to cut this at 3 1/4, which will cut it right in half. And then I'm going to take these pieces and just put them right sides together. That way it'll create a mirrored piece. And then I'm going to cut from this corner to this corner, opposite diagonal corners, using the quick curve ruler, and put the curve cut out over those 2 corners. Should I turn that light off? Is that better? So curve cut out over that corner, over this one. Use a regular rotary cutter. And then when you open these, now you have 2 shapes that are the same, but they are mirrored images. And then out of this piece, we are going to cut a 1 by 1. So we need a little teeny cornerstone for the center of our block. So this is where we're getting those little cornerstones. So we have our A's cut and our center. So now we're going to cut our background. And I'm on step 2 of the pattern, and this is our B piece. And for this, for one block, you will have 4 of these. And you will either have them right sides together or wrong sides together, or do 2 up, 2 down, because you're making mirrored images. So I'm going to measure and mark 3/4 of an inch from this edge over, and I'm just eyeballing it on my mat. And then I'm going to go to the opposite corner down here and measure and mark 3/4 of an inch over. And then I'm using just a straight edge. I'll use my quick curve ruler, and I'm cutting from mark to mark with the straight edge. Now I have 4 pieces. I can actually turn that, stack these all on top of each other, because I had 2 pieces here, wrong sides together. And now I'm on step 3, and for this, just position it how the pattern shows, and I'm going to look at this long edge of my triangle shape. And that long edge is going to go on the 2 1/8 inch edge on my ruler. So I'm going to count over from the right side, 1, 2 inches, and then I'm going to go to the 1/8 inch mark. And I'm putting that long edge all the way along 2 1/8 on my ruler. And then I'm sliding it until this top point on my fabric is under the curve cutout. And then I just check, make sure I still have that 2 1/8 lined up on my fabric. This lower point does not go clear to the corner. Cut in your curve cutout. This is your discard. And now you have your B piece that sews onto your A piece. So that's all the curves that we cut in Posh Penelope. You just have to remember that you need some of your pieces right side up, you need half right side up and half right side down. So now let's lay this out. It tells you in your pattern to go ahead and lay it out. And I have, this should look like it's going to make a rectangle. If I swapped these, you can see how even though the curve matches, it doesn't look like a rectangle. So that's how you know if you line them up correctly. Now for sewing, whenever we sew any of our patterns, we always have concave on the bottom, convex on top. So let's start with this one. So you look at your two pieces, this is concave, so convex folds over. Pattern says leave a 1/4 inch tail right here. So we'll sew down this curve. So then on this one, if we thought about it, we said, all right, so now we need concave on the bottom, so this piece stays down, but you're working from the opposite direction. And this convex is on top. And then, Rachel, get really close here. The pattern says leave a 1/4 inch tail. We're just talking about from this straight cut, right where it ends at the curve, down to the tip of that. So you just have a 1/4 inch right there. All right, now we're going to sew both of these. So sew a couple stitches, then hold the fabric one piece in each hand, and then as it feeds, bring the curved edges together. I'm trying really hard not to pull, just bring together. And then we'll do the same thing with our other one. Concave on the bottom, 1/4 inch tail. Bring the curved edges together.
Easy.
Yeah. Like so much easier than we like to imagine. Okay, now we will press. We're going to press to our focus fabric. You can use a little steam or starch. I'm in Arizona. It's really dry here. We don't have any just random moisture in the air at all. So it really helps if I have water in my iron. And I like to press on the back first. And then turn it over and press on the front. And I love the wool mat. If you haven't tried it, it's a really great investment. All right, so now we have our AB pieces. So now we're going to square them up. We are squaring them to 3 by 6. And I'm going to use the Sew Square 6 because it's 6 inches square. And I'm positioning it, because I have 2 pieces here, just make them look like the pattern shows you. So we're here on square up. So my first one is this one that it shows. And what we're doing is we're going to put this top right point right on our curved seam at the top here. And then down here at the bottom, I put a little mark at 2 3/4 from this edge. And I put a mark, and that sits right on my curved seam. It's still going to be a 3-inch block, but we needed to create seam allowance here. So, Ray, why don't you show them that point right there? Sits right on the curve. So the point of the ruler on the curve, and then down here, 2 3/4 from the corner over, that sits right on the curve. And you can see I put a little mark on my ruler. And then trim 2 sides. And I like to anchor one of my fingers over here so my tool doesn't shift. And then rotate your fabric 180 degrees. I don't change how the tool is oriented. So square 6, then put it back down and line up trimmed edges on 3 and 6, which is the edge of the ruler, and then cut off whatever is left.
Nice.
All right, now we'll do our other one. And your pattern shows you how to set it up. We're going to set it up this way. Here, now we have it flipped because it's a mirror image. So my bottom point, or if you're just using your quick curve ruler, put your 6-inch line right here, right on the bottom corner, right on the curve seam. And then again, that 2 3/4 sits right on the curve seam here. So you're doing exactly the same reference points, just on opposite sides. Trim 2 sides. Rotate. Now look at trimmed edges. Put trimmed edges on 3 and 6 and cut off whatever is left. Okay. All right, now we have our pieces. This is your AB. They're mirrored images. We're going to sew these together. And this is just a straight seam. And then here, press that seam open. You can set it first, it'll help press it. Okay. All right, now we're going to go back and use our same tool, and we're going to line up the diagonal line. We're using the Sew Square 6. Line up that diagonal line right on your center seam, and the point is down here on the edge. And then we take our rotary cutter, trim, discard these. Now we have this shape. Now we're going to use our... So now we're going to add these 2 pieces, these background pieces. And these are, I think, part D. So now we're adding D. And you just center these on these side parts, and we're going to sew a straight line here. And then go ahead and set those seams, and then press them open. Okay, now we're going to add another piece. This is our part E, and these are just squares that you cut in half diagonally, and we just are going to position it on this corner, and the point sits on the seam, and you're just going to sew a straight seam here. This is a really great pattern for using up scraps. It has a nice scrappy feel to it. You can be very organized, or you can make it really scrappy. Okay, now we're going to square this up. Now you can see we have a square. We're going to make it 6 inches. And I'm positioning the diagonal line right on that center seam. And then I'm looking at my points of my little flowers here, and they should be close to the marks in the pattern, 1/4 inch from the edge, and at 3 3/4 on each side. Okay, I know we're almost out of time. We have a 15-minute time limit on these videos. So really quick, my last thing is to take my last piece, which is my F, and my F, you just draw a line on the wrong side, and you stitch on the line, and then trim, and then fold it out to get that last point. And then you'll have these pieces, which go together, and then you have this center piece. And notice on the back how These, when I add the sashing strips,